I've never been shy about my adoration for a good 90s thriller, and as they say, we were eating good, especially during the early to mid part of the decade. And I believe it's best to keep in mind the trends and overall style of the time when heading back 30 plus years. Pacific Heights mixed aspects of status culture, domestic, and psychological thriller that when combined gave us an intense, melodramatic, and juicy entry into one of my personal favorite subgenres. Add onto that a surprisingly energetic directing style alongside Michael Keaton going full psycho, and you get a decent early 90s movie that's aged better than you'd expect. So today on Revisited, I explore the hidden dangers of renting in San Francisco.
Nice hearing from you, Carlos.
Made in 1990, Pacific Heights was directed by John Schlesinger. Written by Daniel Pine and starring Melanie Griffith, Matthew Modine, Mako, and of course, Michael Keaton. Now, for those who may not have seen it, let me give you a brief description of what you're getting into. So Keaton plays Carter Hayes, a sneaky sociopath who lies his way into an apartment, squats, and depletes whatever poor sucker rented to him in the first place. Over the course of 90-ish minutes, we get Hayes slowly driving this nice couple completely mad, using skill, wit, and some loose laws to get his intended goal. Now listen, some things work, others don't, but when it comes right down to it, they just don't make them like this anymore. And since Pacific Heights is part 2 of my 90s Domestic Thriller Trilogy, I must once again state, yes, this isn't horror, but a thriller is absolutely horror adjacent and fits neatly under the umbrella of the subgenre. Plus, 90s thrillers tend to be my bag, so, please take the stick out of your ass and let's enjoy life. The New York Times called this, and I quote, perhaps the first eviction thriller. And I tend to agree. I mean, listen, I'm not sure if it's the first, but it definitely is my reference point when I think of squatter horror.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
And since many of these laws seem to be easily exploited, still to this day, it makes sense to set a madman loose in such an everyday concept. And it lets him get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
I did it. I found a way in. The biggest draw and one of the best parts of this is easily Michael Keaton. And something I've always loved is that for some reason, we as a collective species decided that a man with an intensity so electric he could power a city in the eyes of a man who would probably kill you for the thrill alone was adopted as Mr. Funny. Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's easy to be around. I love it. Mr. Michael Keaton. And at this point, obviously outside of his work with Burton, a majority of his filmography was fun. And a quick side note, one of his best and most underrated turns as a villain is Peter McCabe from Desperate Measures. It is Keaton via the way of Nichols Cage. I mean, it's not a great movie, but he steals the show.
Hey, shut the fuck up!
It's good to be the king.
Now, as Carter Hayes, Keaton plays the role as a man whose whole existence is to make everyone else's worse. Starting with a nice and informative sex scene, and I hope it doesn't bother the younger generation. We get a drop-dead gorgeous Beverly D'Angelo. I mean, dude, you get it, Clark. And right off the bat, Keaton's got you hooked, right? He's decked out in his slick suit, cool car, asshole, shades, and flashing that killer smile. He's the perfect blend of suave and disquieting. Try to remember, this type of character from him was rare. As he works his way into the lives of this unsuspecting couple, Patty and Drake, we're essentially watching a master manipulator at work. After Patty's miscarriage, Hayes, the kind of guy that he is, brings flowers as a sign of condolence. I mean, a well-played trap that's both cunning and straight up evil.
Nature can be so cruel sometimes.
From his deliberate mind games to his downright evil and diabolical schemes. You want to punch him, but you gotta respect him. That's the best kind of villain you have. I can't help but be on board as he turns Patty and Drake's dream home into a living nightmare. What we need to do is look back and appreciate how truly impressive Keaton's ability to meld into Hayes was. He's not as dark and complicated as Batman or off-colored as Beetlejuice, Nah, he's a whole new kind of vile. And it's a testament to Keaton's talent that he can switch gears so seamlessly. And I know this because I lived through the dark ages of Keaton. Those were the 2000s, so I'm just damn glad to see him firing on all cylinders here. Now, besides Mr. Keaton chewing the scenery, John Schlesinger goes above and beyond, giving what could have easily been a series of standard mids and wides, with a sense of energy nowadays reserved for more ethereal type of thrillers. From the stunning shots of the explanation of simple things like tenant protections, to Matthew Modine's trippy dream sequence, Schlesinger captures the atmosphere and anxiety with an eye for detail that's impressive. And to tie it back to an earlier sentiment, yeah, they just don't make them like this anymore. Look at these shots. And for what? A thriller about a squatter? Some guy that just stays in his room? Dude, we have lost the script on feel and movement, and honestly, most movies, not all, most movies look stale and boring nowadays. John's direction, along with cinematography from Amir Makray, sorry, I hope I'm saying that right, elevate Pacific Heights into something more cinematic, if only in retrospect of the state of movies today. But not everything works, and I'm sad to report that on this recent rewatch, Melanie Griffith and Matthew Modine's characters just don't work. As actors, they're fine. I've seen them both succeed with ease, but as Patty and Drake, I wanted to put my flat screen right through the wall. Drake is a character literally causes most of his own problems, is as emotional as a first grader, and gives up any and all leverage he may have had just for the sake of ego. Dude takes the bait more than a fish from the bay. At the midpoint of this movie, you almost start rooting for Keaton, whom is conniving but never an evil genius, just a man who understands the law. Drake is a frustrating character who's supposed to be the hero. Half the time it's like, shut your mouth and calm down, dude. You're making it worse. You are making it worse. And I get his aloofness is tied to him being a first-time homeowner / landlord, but man, please hold it together and stop making every dumb decision in the book. Now, Melanie Griffith holds her own a bit better as Patty, but still, even as the mousy voice of reason, she'll do something clever like, getting into Hayes' hotel room and starts getting some much-needed payback. Great scene, by the way. Though, why do it in his hotel room? Just take the stuff and leave. But to then, just head back home. Humble abode. The one place where Carter Hayes knows you would be. I mean, I don't know. Why not go to your mom's house or anywhere else? But to screw over a sociopath and then head home to work? Why not? Sure, nothing bad will happen there. Honestly, now that I was thinking about it, I think we need more of the Laurie Metcalf role. Talk some sense in these moronic San Franciscans. Or is it San Franciscans? I don't cares. I'm starting to think that Leaving had a point about them.
You are all probably going to spend the weekend in Frisco, weren't you? You only spin as good as you suck.
But listen, I'm complaining a bit. Overall, it's a decent flick that may have, more problems than it needs. It still succeeds in giving us a fine thriller that lets Keaton chew up the scenery in all the right ways. And to end this on an honest note, Pacific Heights can be summed up by a simple line by Tenacious D.
Good enough for me.
Seems like the world is moving on. Didn't stop to look around. Didn't give a shit if you're crashing down. You can close your eyes but not your skin. Don't believe what you refuse to see. Won't find a way in. Well, I can't ignore a certain thing.